forward. Use those legs. Flying hanging power. Hanging power. Over twist down the front. Lower down the front here, warrior. Top of the knee. There you go.
Just wait another minute. There we go. If anybody's watching, let me know you get good sound. You can actually hear me. All right, well, we're gonna get kicked off. We're here to discuss weight training for women. Hey, Jen, can you hear me good, Jen? Make sure you guys have good sound here. All right. So we're gonna first break down some myths about strength training, particularly for women. There are a lot of common things I hear as a gym owner and as a coach. The general public coming in here, they have a lot of misconceptions. So we're gonna talk about those things. We're gonna explain why they're not true, what the actual truths are behind some of these, and then we're gonna talk about the actual benefits, the positives of training. Strength training for women and strength training for people in general, but it does seem to be a little bit of a one-sided argument that females in general are advised not to train, whether it's by their peers or people that just don't know any better. So that's what we're here to talk about. First off, lifting makes women bulky or mannish. That's probably the number one offender. I'm going to dispel it right away. It's just not true. If you do see someone, an athlete, that looks masculine, you see a squared off jaw, larger traps of neck, chances are, beyond the fact that they're probably spending more time in the gym than the average being, they're probably training 2 to 3, sometimes 4 hours in a day, 2 days, 2 sessions a day, 5, 6 days a week. That person is more than likely on either some kind of anabolic agent, growth hormone, or they're taking testosterone. That is not their natural physiology, and that's what happens when someone's abusing a drug they shouldn't be using. It changes the physiology and biology. Women inherently don't have a lot of testosterone in their body compared to males. And that is why males typically, their hormonal response to strength training is a lot greater. They pack on size a little bit either, put on lean mass a lot quicker because of that difference in our biology. It's just not realistic. I've heard the analogy, it's like I'm afraid to drive my car to work because I'm afraid I might turn into a race car driver. It doesn't make very much sense. It's the same when it comes to strength training. It almost borderlines on almost insulting to the people that do train 2-3 hours a week or a day throughout the week and they're clean. They still don't look like that. They don't get that amount of size. I have girls, female athletes in here of adult age that have been training for years. Do they have lean bodies? Yes. Do they have a little bit more defined? Yes. It's a very apparent that they're a fit person. You can tell they work out. But those effects of having a mannish look to the face, a thicker neck, wider jaw, a bulky physique, a much different physique than basically a non-feminine looking physique, that's really hard, almost impossible to accomplish under normal circumstances. It's just not a concern. You'd really have to be putting a lot of time in the gym that most of us don't have. Most of us have 60 minutes to 45 minutes to put in the gym. You're just not going to get there. You require a lot more training, a lot more dialed in nutrition, And like I said before, chances are most of those people that you see at these shows and at these bodybuilding competitions are on something other than just protein shakes. So we don't have to worry about that. Next on the list, we've got cardio burns more fat. Just by hearing that, it seems to make sense. You would think that going for a run burns fat, and it does. There's no contest there. Absolutely it does. Of course, getting on the rower, going for a swim, raising your heart rate, you're going to get some cardio conditioning, you're going to raise your metabolic rate. You're going to burn some fat, absolutely. But to say that it's better than lifting is just untrue. It doesn't put as much lean mass on your body, therefore it doesn't change your actual physiology as much. Typically what happens when you have an endurance athlete, which I have experience with, it's very difficult to burn fat as compared to if you have a little bit more lean mass on your body. You have a higher resting metabolic rate if you lift weights. You have more lean mass, therefore you burn fat quicker. Just sitting around, you burn more fat. It's part of the reason why with the testosterone difference in males, they seem to have a easier time, or at least a quicker time losing body fat when they do go to the gym and start taking care of themselves. It can be a little bit frustrating for a woman if they go in with their husband or their significant other. They'll look at their husband and he's just dropping inches off his waist right away. His physique changes very quickly, and that's because they have higher levels of testosterone and they're able to put on lean mass quicker. For a woman, it's just not quite as easy. But if you do strength training in conjunction with cardio training, it actually helps. It lends to the other. Your anaerobic activities help your aerobic activities. It doesn't hurt your aerobic activities. It actually helps it. Next thing we're going to talk about is lightweight, more reps, get you long and lean. I've heard that several times. If you do a bunch of reps, there's classes out there like bar. It's great. Zumba, all the high repetition work. It's great. It gets people moving, but it doesn't actually necessarily make your body long and lean. You can't change the length of your muscle tissue. What's that? Writing on the board isn't readable due to the camera. I'll take a read from there. I'm gonna have to fix that. Let's see if we can fix this issue real quick so you guys can actually jot notes down at home. Okay. Is that better? That should be better. What do we think? Good? Should be good now. I think we fixed that. My bad. Where were we? Long and lean. You can't change the length of your muscle tissue, whether you're stretching it or using light weights or whatever. The insertion point of a muscle is going to be where it's going to be. You don't actually lengthen it. Now, you can increase your flexibility and range of motion with the joint capsule. So you're not actually lengthening the muscle. That's a common myth, okay? If you want a long and lean appearance, you have to add lean body mass. Doing 20 repetitions, 100 repetitions of something in a set isn't necessarily going to do that. Are you going to get your heart rate up? Yes, but it more borderlines on aerobic rather than anaerobic strength training. They're two very different things. In fact, if you're looking to put on size when I'm training or when the other weightlifters here are training, if I'm looking to put on size, we do what's called hypertrophy training. I do between 8 to 12 repetitions in a set with heavy weights. 8 to 12 reps. That's what puts size. That's what will put size on if you're looking to add lean mass. Now, like I said before, that given a woman doing 8 to 12 repetitions with a very heavy weight, are they going to add lean mass? Yes. Are they going to put the size on that I'm going to put on? Absolutely not. It'd be very difficult. Like I said, if I had an athlete who all of a sudden put on 20 pounds of lean mass and they were a medium to small frame female athlete, I would have questions. I'd have a conversation with that athlete and ask them point blank, are you taking anything illegal? But it's just not the case. If you want a long, lean body, A, you have to have a good diet. There's no substitution to get abs and definition in your body. The definition, the striations in your muscle tissue are visible because of lack of body fat. Period. That comes from your proper nutrition, having a lean diet, high in protein, not so much carbohydrates, very clean carbohydrate sources, avoiding grains, going after things more like dense vegetables, roots, leafy greens, sun fruit, avoiding sugar, avoiding dairy, and avoiding fats. There's healthy fats out there. People go overboard. They eat too much fat. It's still more fat than they need, even though it is a healthy source of fat. You want to try to avoid a high fat content in your diet. That's what's going to get the definition, the long lean look, is increasing your muscle tissue and having a good healthy diet. Lifting hurts your cardio, your sport that you play, and your running. It's just not true. I don't know how many times I've either had parents or adult athletes tell me, well, I don't want to lift weights because it'll affect my game. It'll throw my jump shot off. It'll throw my golfing off. It'll throw my baseball off. It's just not true. If anything, it'll lend and aid your sport. Like I said, with your aerobic and anaerobic capacity, it'll help your cardio. If you're on the rower or if you're swimming and you're running and you have a weak body, you can only move so fast doing your cardio conditioning on your run, your 10-mile run. If I have stronger legs, I have a stronger body, I can potentially move at a faster rate. I'm going to get more out of my cardio with a stronger body. I can propel myself faster. I can handle inclines a lot easier if I have stronger legs by doing squats and deadlifts. It's just overall better for you if you do strength training for these things. You can still do these things, but it's going to be a plus, not a minus. Lastly, I'd like to talk about if you stop, it turns to fat, meaning if I stop strength training after all those years of strength training, all this muscle tissue turns into fat cells. That's the biggest lie of them all. I don't know where that came from. I've heard that multiple times from guys and girls. You know, I'm really worried about my daughter. She's strength training here, but when she's 30, what's it going to look like? Is it going to turn to fat? No. People get fat deposits on their body. Their fat deposits those because they're sedentary. They maybe were active once years ago, and they did strength training, but they stopped. They continue to ingest more calories than they needed in a day, so before they put on excess body fat. That's all there is to it. Muscle just doesn't automatically convert. Tissues don't convert like that. Fat doesn't convert to muscle. Fat is burned off and reduced, revealing muscle tissue. It doesn't convert. You can't convert tissues like that. I can't take my brain tissue and convert it into muscle tissue. It's not how biology works and chemistry works. So that's a lie. We're going to talk about the benefits here in a little bit. I'm just going to check the camera and make sure everything's on the way it needs to be. All right, so we're going to talk about the benefits of strength training. Now, this is geared more toward women's strength training, but it applies to anybody. First off, the listing that it helps reduce the risk of, and the things that it helps reverse. It's actually known to reverse bone loss, osteoporosis, and osteoarthritis. It adds bone density. It's a major problem with the aging population. They start to lose bone as they start to drop in hormonal levels, whether it's men or women. Once they're past the age of about 50 to 55 years old, they start to lose bone mass. This helps fight it, and it's known to reverse it. With osteoarthritis, when you start losing cartilage, you start to get bone-on-bone grinding. The only way you can kind of alleviate and combat that is by staying moving. As soon as you stop moving for extended periods of time, weeks, months, years, and you start being sedentary, that's when it just gets worse. And it's just like a car. The engine's running, you need fluid in the engine, you need oil, you need lubrication. If you're not regularly lubricating those joints, getting blood flow in that muscle tissue around those joint capsules, it's going to get frozen up, it's going to get worse. You're going to get more discomfort. So the best thing you can do is go through full range of motion exercises like squats, deadlifts, presses, and make sure that you're moving through a full range of motion. Make sure you get a coach if you don't know what you're doing. That's going to fight some of these things. It's also known to fight and reverse type 2 diabetes. Now there's 3 million cases a year reported by doctors. A lot of people don't even know that they're at risk until they finally go to the doctor and find out that they're diabetic, and that's why they're sick all the time. Generally, people who come to the gym, putting time and investment into their bodies, aren't abusing their body in a fashion with high fats, fried foods, sugar intake, lots of alcohol. They're not doing that as much themselves. Nowhere near as often, nowhere near to the extent and the amount throughout the week. They're just not as at risk because they're more disciplined with their bodies. Heart disease, they kind of go hand in hand. And depression, there's psychological factors with exercise, and that's any exercise, whether it's strength training or cardio conditioning, going for a run, swim, bicycle. It's better for you. It raises your endorphin levels. You feel better about yourself because you're healthier. You feel good about your accomplishments throughout the week during your training sessions. It increases your confidence. Therefore, you feel better about yourself. I think everyone can agree that that's true. It also helps to promote and increase your bone density, which we talked about. It increases your range of motion. If I'm getting into a squat on a regular basis, I'm less likely to lose that ability. We're talking about someone that is aging. One of the key factors with someone that can't live on their own anymore and they need to start living home or living with other family members to help them is because they've lost range of motion. They can no longer stand up on their own out of bed. They might not be able to get out of bed on their own. They may not be able to get off the ground if they fall. If you've lost that mobility, you've lost your independence of living. This is a big one too. I forgot to mention, women, you tend to live longer, between 4 to 8 years, depending on what country, what year you look at the report. Men don't live as long. Your significant other has a higher likelihood of passing before you do. You're going to be living on your own for an extended period of time once that happens. It's not a comfortable thought, but you're going to be alone. Living alone and maintaining your independence is going to rest solely on your ability to move. So if you're doing strength training, you're able to handle regular everyday activities like getting the groceries, getting up and out of a chair, going to the bathroom on your own, unassisted. As soon as you lose that ability to do that, your husband's not around, you're gonna have to look at other options. It's just a common known factor. We just don't last as long. Our shelf life isn't as long as the female body. Lean body mass. It increases your lean body mass. We talked about this before when we talked about getting bulky. It's not so much bulk. When you think about bulk, you think about puffy, a little bit overweight look, so to say, fat or overweight look. This is not true. You're going to gain lean mass. What does that mean? You're gaining muscle tissue. Gaining muscle tissue is not going to make you unhealthy. If anything, it'll make you more healthy. It increases your metabolic rate. Your resting or your basal metabolic rate is the rate at which you burn fat tissue at a resting, where you're just walking around, you're sitting, you're sleeping, you're not doing any elevated activity. That rate increases because you have more lean mass on your body. Someone who's sedentary and doesn't have lean mass on their body, they can't burn fat as quickly. So next down the list, you have strength of abdominal wall and your pelvic floor. And this is a big one. Just by contracting your core while you're squatting, while you're deadlifting, while you're pressing, even when you're picking up and doing curls with dumbbells, you're tightening up your body, or you should be. Your ab wall is getting stronger. If you have a stronger abdominal wall, a stronger pelvic floor, and a better range of motion in the squat, it's better for childbirth. It makes labor just a little bit better, a little bit less at risk. You're less at risk to injure yourself, because a lot of women do injure themselves. It does happen. If you want to reduce that risk, make your life just a tad bit easier, because us as men, we can't even understand our back right. It's a good thing. It's not a negative. Weight training is really good leading up before pregnancy, and even during the early stages of pregnancy, with moderation, maintaining those range of motion, and maintaining as much strength as you can is great for you. It's great for an expectant mother. Increased confidence and discipline, like I said before, helps fight depression. Part of it's because of the endorphin, the hormonal response in your body. Another reason is we just feel better when we accomplish things. As human beings, we like knowing that we did something that someone else could, or doing something that we didn't think we could. When we walk out of the gym, we feel better about ourselves. Whether it's running a 5K, getting a new personal record on your squat, getting a faster run time, faster sprint time, dropping 2 stress sizes, you're going to feel better about yourself. That's a psychological factor. It's going to increase your confidence. It's also going to increase your discipline. We talked about earlier. The average gym goer is a little bit more disciplined with their body, with their diet, with being on a regimen of getting in here, let's say it's 2 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever. It keeps you on a structured schedule of maintaining yourself, maintaining your health. You're more disciplined. It carries over in other things, and I see it in athletes as well when young kids are developing throughout junior high and high school. The kids that are more regimented come in and work with the coaches. They're more coachable athletes. As they grow in adulthood, they're more coachable and employable people. They have better behaviors. They know how to take direction, and they have a better work ethic. Flat out, people who hit the gym early on in life have a better work ethic when they get out there in the world competing for a job. Lastly, again, they have better eating habits. It goes hand in hand. If you're hitting the gym 3 or 4 days a week, you're probably not going to abuse yourself. At least we'll hope that you're not. It's counterproductive. If you want to get the most out of your training, you're paying a personal coach to train you. Why would you throw all that away, fight your investment, be counterproductive to your investment by putting crap into your body? You want to put good foods in your body. You want to put good fuel in your body. It's the same thing as if you had a nice automobile, a high-performance automobile. Let's say you had a Ferrari or an old muscle car. It takes a certain type of fuel. You're not going to throw in a fuel that's not supposed to be in there because it's going to be bad for the carburetor. It's going to be bad for the engine. You're going to give it the best fuel possible, the best fuel for that performance model. You should be a performance model. So those are a few things. If you guys have any questions, you want to talk, you can shoot me an email, shoot me a private message on this gym's page. I'm more than willing to talk with you. If anyone's interested in getting more tips, more information, you want to talk about dieting, you want to talk about strength training, you can come see us at the gym. We're at 1506 Center Turnpike. We're in Orangeburg, just south of town on Route 61 if you're coming through or into Deer Lake. We're on the southbound side of the old festival building. Come through the glass doors, we're right there. Come see us anytime. We're here from 5:30 in the morning until 7:30, sometimes as late as 8 o'clock at night. So shoot me an email, private message, or just stop by the gym. Hope you guys enjoyed the information. I hope to see you next week.
Get ready.